Yeah.
But you stay in jail, prison, but you don't even go to trial for like 2.5 years.
Yeah. It was like 1.5 years just in jail. And I kept looking. I was like, dude, because the coke was weird. It smelled like gasoline. I was like, you think it was fake? Huh. He kept looking at it. I was like, maybe it was fake, bro. Maybe they're going to let us out. Like every day I was just like that hope you had to have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you were charged? You'd already been charged, right?
No, just threw us in a holding cell.
And you were like that for 1.5 years?
No, like they put us in a holding cell and then they just threw us in general population.
No paperwork?
Nothing.
No.
And they asked if I wanted to call my embassy. I said no.
Because you got a case.
Because I have felony charges.
So they don't even give you paperwork. They don't give you a trial date or a court date, a date to appear.
No. But like, so
do you call your parents? You let your people know where
I called my
you're
parents after like a month. I called my parents, and my dad already kind of knew. He just had the feeling. He had a feeling both times I got caught. The first time with the ecstasy, because I was like, I'm gonna go do this run real quick. He's like, I don't think you should, and he knew. And then he had a weird feeling about when I was in Aruba, and that's when I got caught. So. I hadn't talked to him for a month. They tried to push the embassy on me. I said, nope, I deny it. And, I probably could have got some rights in there. But the embassy, bro, I thought we were like the greatest country in the world, had the best embassy. But our embassy's terrible, bro.
What do you mean?
They're like some American chicks hanging out with these Spanish dudes. Like, they do nothing.
Wow.
Like, maybe they can schedule you a visit. Like, I don't know. Who's going to visit you? Like, you're in another country. Like, bro, they do nothing. The other embassies, like English, Ireland, like, they give them some money. They give them, like, newspapers from back home. Like, they support them.
Yeah.
We didn't get any support. But so I'm there for, like, so they have a wrestling program called
Hang on. I want to hear about the prison and the prison conditions.
Yeah.
Did not part of you think, well, if we call Interpol, if I have the embassy call the DEA and be like, hey, this guy, he got popped for coke, but he'd like to come home and do his time for ecstasy. Like, I'd rather do my time in the feds here, home, than be just in the ether, bouncing or not knowing this is insane, bro. This is crazy.
Yeah. No, I would rather be in Spain.
Really? Okay, please tell us about what Spanish prison is like.
So, I mean, when you walk in, it's a little intimidating because, like, everyone, they try to mess with you. They're like, esa culito when you walk in, like, and they separated me from the Colombian. And so, I'm solo. But there was some English guys there. There was some, people who spoke English. So I linked up with them. There was like a guy from Bermuda and stuff like that. And the conditions weren't terrible, but they weren't great either. I mean, you could wear your own street clothes, which was great. And they had activities to do, like wrestling, kickboxing, gym. Like, so I was just like,
I heard people over there, before we get into this, because this is interesting, but I heard everybody there, like a third of the people have AIDS. Yeah. Because they're banging heroin.
So is that true? This was the scary part, bro. I'm in here for 3 months. And all of a sudden they take us in the back and they're like, have this needle. I'm like, what's that? And they're like, we're testing for tuberculosis. And so they stab you and it lumps up. And if it like blows up, you have tuberculosis. If it just goes back down, you don't. So I'm like, all right, cool. And all of a sudden we're all back. Like they do the whole pod. And I look at some of these like Moroccan guys and stuff, and their arms are just blowing up. So all these dudes have tuberculosis, and I've been in there with them for 3 months.
Bro, terrifying.
But yeah, going back to the thing with AIDS, there was this guy, bro, no hair, no eyelashes, and like a complete junkie with AIDS. Yeah. And he's like, I remember like it was kind of like some friction, and he's like, I'll stab you with a needle. Like that, like, and I was like, bro, we're cool.
Right.
Like
doesn't matter how tough you are. You're like, whatever, dude, have my soup.
I mean, he wouldn't like try to punk me, but like I was gonna like beat him up because he was just like a junkie, like and just I forget what happened, but I just called. I was like, bro, listen, we're cool. Just like keep your distance.
Yeah.
Like, and there's like brooms and stuff you could fight with in there. You could easily make weapons in there. People did.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it was more of like a life. So you weren't like so like just sitting there like, oh, he touched my toaster. Like in America, it was like Rikers was 20 times worse than the Spanish prison by far. I would like that was the worst part of the whole stint.
Really?
Yes, by far. And So I linked up with some, and I heard there was this American guy in there, and he was a legend. They called him Chicago. And like this dude started riots. This dude's like running pods, and like he's this crazy dude. And everyone's like, "Oh, you got to meet Chicago." Like everyone was scared of him and stuff. Like, so like,
where was he from? Cleveland.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So so I find this wrestling thing, right?
Yes.
So they have all these programs there. You got to write an estancia, it's called, and you gotta wait your time. It takes like 3 months to get in these programs. I walk right up to the coach of the Lucha Canaria, which is like wrestling in a gladiator pit with sand. Wow. You wear like a gi and you roll it up and you go shoulder to shoulder. You grab their like pant leg and you go best out of 3 takedowns in the sand pit. Once you beat them, the next heavier guy comes. So it's like a wrestling team sport.
Fascinating. And this comes from Senegal, right?
Yeah, it does come from Senegal. Yeah. It's similar, but they have their own twist in the Canary Islands. Wow. So the coach is the dad of Trota Espino, who is a UFC fighter. Really? And he is like the legend. So his dad's in there for like 50 kilos of coke. And like was like working with the police, and like a cop and him like got caught. Wow. So I roll up, bro, and you're supposed to like takes 3 months to get in. I show him, I'm pointing to my ears. I'm like, bro, let me go. He's like, all right, come on. So dude, I fall back in love with wrestling. You know, I start to sober up, and like you could definitely take a route of like shooting heroin. Like there's so much drugs in there. Right. I got my prescription for Xanax and I got my sleeping pill. That was the only thing I got, and I would smoke hash. And drink prison hooch when that was around, but it wasn't around much. Right. But I wasn't going down like
compared to the streets. You're basically
I'm sobering up.
Yeah,
which is
wow. Your first time sober, or basically sober in what, like a decade?
Yeah. So I start to clear my head, man. I'm like, dude, what am I gonna do? Like I'm rock bottom. Like I'm 22 at the time, or 23. And then they had a kickboxing program. I start kickboxing, strength conditioning. So I'm just like, it's like a full fight camp. And like, I'm just training hard. And like, I feel like God's talking to me, like, you're going to the UFC to win a champ. Like, you're going to win that belt. So like, I feel like God's speaking this to me, and I have this epiphany. I'm like, dude, I'm not like these people. Like, what am I doing here? Yeah. Like, how did I end up here? Like, I start like waking up from this, like, drunken, drugged out stupor I was in. And and I actually beat a professional team from the streets. A team comes in and these guys are getting paid. Then the president of the Federation of Lucha Canaria writes a letter to the warden of the prison and says, we want to keep this guy. We want him to wrestle for our team. So in my head, I'm like, this is my career path. I'm going to get out. These guys are making like 4,000 euros a month, which there it's like good money. Everything's super cheap there. Wow. So I'm like, yeah, man, I'm gonna do this. And then next thing you know, bro, this other team comes in from the street and they tell me, don't talk about it. Like, don't do an interview. And I did this interview. I was like, I've done wrestling, jiu-jitsu, but I love Lucha Canaria more than anything. Like, I'm just trying to play this part. And they're like super racist. Like they did not like an American dominating in their sport. And me and the crazy Chicago guy met up, and now we're on the same pod, and like we're getting like crazy. And we start drinking and selling alcohol, and we beat the team. And we're just like basically running the pod. Like if people have drug debts, we go collect them. If people get out of line, and dude, he's just slapping people left and right, like wham, open hand. And I'm like, dude, we're going to get like stabbed. Yeah. And they would just bow down to it. Like, I don't know why. Like he just had this aura, like even the guards got mad at him. And he was like, either you get this guy out of here or there's going to be a helicopter here soon. He would tell the guards and they'd be like, all right, we'll get the guy out of there. Wow. Anyways, they didn't like us, so they split us up. And then one day the lady came up, threw a bag in my face. She's like, you're getting out of here. I was like, what? I had my girlfriend there. I had my like connection to give me contacts because I had very bad vision at the time. And I packed up my bag. They Con Aired me to the north of Spain, like out of nowhere.
Wow. And you had to leave your wrestling team?
Everything.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you went to a prison in the north of Spain.
They Con Aired me, bro. It was a crazy scene.
Oh, yeah. This was wild. Tell us about this. These cops on the Con Air.
Dude, they roll up in ski masks and like, you know, there's like the Guardia Civil and the National Guard, but these are like special forces, like, and they charter a commercial plane because they don't have like planes for criminals or whatever. So we're at the airport, rolled up, bro. Like you can't even look up. You're shackled from head to toe. You look up, they stick their mouth and they like stick their hands all up in your mouth, like searching for stuff, rip your shoelaces off. Then you get in this plane and every time you look up, bro, they wham, hit you in the back of the head. Like hard, bro, like rock you. And we'd seen Con Air though, like a couple weeks before it came on. So I was just like, it was a trip, man. It was crazy. The Con Air, we had like terrorists, like crazy people, like 200 people, shipped us to the south of Spain. And then we got bussed to the north of Spain. Eventually I made my way in a place called Leon.
Leon?
Lion. Yeah, Lion.
Do you know yet when your court date's coming up?
So now I got sentenced. That's why they were able to move me. I finally got sentenced. Okay. I think it was like 2 years and 8 months.
And that includes the time you'd already been in?
Yeah.
Time served?
Yep.
Okay. Did they like assign you a lawyer? Or is that even necessary?
Yeah, I had like some public defender. He was terrible.
Right.
I didn't even know who he was.
Of course.
Yeah.
So that's just, they just offer you the first deal and you take it? Okay.
Yep. And then I signed a paper that I wouldn't come back to Europe for 5 years. So they cut my sentence 2/3.
Right.
Yeah. Or 1/3 or 1/4 or something like that. They cut off a portion of it because I just
agreed not to come back.
I thought it was Spain, but when I got in the UFC, I was trying to find England. Like, bro, you're kicked out of all of Europe.
Wow.
So they had to like find lawyers and like we had to find that public defender and he wouldn't answer me. And so I called one of my boys and my boy rolled up on him and was like, yo, call him back. Like he's going to fight in the UFC. Like,
wow.
Yeah.
So you were in the Interpol computers throughout the whole European Union. Like,
yeah,
don't let this guy in.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. So, okay. So how long are you at Leon for?
So I was probably in Leon like 6 months and they had a boxing program.
Okay.
And I fell in love with the boxing there. It was like this old school, like looked like Mickey out of Rocky, like this old school guy. And, you know, there was 3 activities you could choose in the day. I'd choose 2 of them, boxing, 1 strength conditioning. So I was boxing for like 2.5, 3 hours a day. So I'm just going, bro. And then we would have fights and sparring matches. The whole guards would come, like put bets on it. Like it was like the movies. Like I won a couple fights. I lost this Russian who had been locked up for like 20 years and all he's been doing is training.
Wow.
And it was pretty crazy.
You must have felt good though.
Yeah, I felt good. I was trained, bro. Yeah. I was feeling really good.
So what's the plan though? You got America this whole time. You have this fugitive case still from the States.
Yeah. So
and you want to become a fighter. So how do we reconcile this? What happens next?
Yeah. So like my dreams of being a Lucha Canaria were taken away. Now I'm going to the UFC. Like I felt like God was speaking to me like, you're going to be UFC champ. And so I was just training. And my goal was to train my mind, body, and spirit every single day. So I was training my body with strength conditioning, boxing. I was reading books. I never read books in my life. And all of a sudden I'm reading books and I was reading the Bible and praying and going to church. And I was just becoming this like weapon in this like, and that's why I got named the Hurricane, because a Reuben Carter boxer had a similar story. And you know, finally, bro, they would play mind games. They'd be like, oh, you're going to get out next week. The week could go by. Oh, mañana. Bro, they would play like they played like mind games for like 6 months. Like you had to come to a point where you're like, I don't care when I get out. I don't care about my life anymore. And that's how you beat them.
Wow.
Because the more you care, they'd play mind games with you.
Wow.
Yeah, it was very like psychological warfare. And like they'd send you a paper, sign this paper, you're gonna get out soon. Oh, we're gonna send you home soon. And then like you'd be like arguing with them and they love it. Like and then they would
didn't you have a release date though? Didn't you know the date?
No.
The earliest release?
No way, bro. Like they said, once you sign that paper, they said they're gonna cut your sentence sometime off and they're gonna send me back to the States.
So how did you finally get out?
So finally, bro, they took me to a jail and had me there for a couple of days. And then they finally took me to the airport in handcuffs, put me in this holding cell. And then they walked me to the plane, took the handcuffs finally off. handed the passport to the flight attendant who gave it to the pilot. Boom. I'm free for the first time in like 2 years and 4 months.
Okay, but do you think like are they? Do you know where you're being flown to? Do they tell you?
Yeah, I'm
at least?
going to JFK.
Wow.
Yeah,
And you have no idea if they're waiting for you there.
No idea, bro. Because at this point,
God.
So at this point, I think probably a year and a half in, the embassy hits me up. We know you're locked up.
Okay.
And I was like, oh no. And I'm like, dude, my stomach like sunk when I heard that. I read the letter and they're like, we want to meet with you. And I'm like, all right. So they meet with me, bro. They don't say anything about it though. They're just like, we want to make sure you're okay and your parents and this and that.
Wow.
I'm like, yeah. They don't say anything about it, which is weird. But when I got to New York, so I'm in this plane, bro, first time free. I'm like, give me a wine bottle. And I'm like, dude, I shouldn't drink, but I know what I'm about to, I know what's about to happen.
Oh, okay.
So I'm like talking, I'm like hitting on, I haven't seen girls in so long. So I'm like hitting on all these girls. They probably think I'm crazy. I'm just like so talkative and walking around and like just have this like crazy, like people were like, what's wrong with this guy? Boom, we land. I remember I saved up wine bottles and then right when I was landing, I just went, because I was like, this is about to get heavy.
Yeah.
And like in my mind, I was like, can I run through JFK? Can I run out of there? I was like, no, 9/11. It's not going to work. They're going to get me. Like, because I was like thinking about trying to make a run for it. And
sure.
boom, we landed JFK. They hand me my passport as I'm walking off the plane. I walk up to security to like the checkpoint. Beep. They scan my passport. Sir, how long have you been out the country? I'm like, a little while. They're like, how's a while? How long's a while? And I'm like, 5 years. And they're like, yeah, come with me. Boom, they walk me in the back, bro. And I'm in the JFK airport. There's all these like immigrants and like they're like interrogating, screaming at people like, this is the wrong passport. It's not you.
Wow.
And like, so like, it's just like craziness. So I'm sitting there and then they're like, I'm like, what is it? What is it? They're like, I don't know. Something pops up, but you have, you're going to get locked up and have no bail. And I was like, really? And so then they put me in the Jamaica Queens jailhouse for 4 days over a weekend. Yeah. Terrible, bro. Yeah. I'm so lucky. This Italian guy gave me this leather jacket. It was like this Italian leather jacket, like goat skin or something. I just lived in that thing, bro. Because it was like pimps coming in and junkies and like I was the only white boy and it was just like so sketchy, bro. Yeah. Like it was just bad. And then they would kept funneling people through and they're like, and then I'm like, hey, what's up with me, bro? Like, are we gonna do something? I'm just in the holding cell and they're like, you're a different case, shut up. And finally, bro, went to my public defender and they're like, went in front of the judge and they're like, Mr. Heinisch, you have felony charges and we're granting you no bail and you're going to Rikers Island. Public defender sits me down. She's like, you need to go to protective custody. And I was like, why? And she's like, you need to go there. She's like, you got to go. And I was like, and then I didn't even know what Rikers was. And I was like, nah, man, leave me. I was like, throw me at the wolves. I'll lead the pack. Like I've been locked up for 2.5 years. I'm not scared. I'm not going to Punk City. Yeah. Like I'm going to freaking general population. So then they drive us to this place, bro. And it's like a bridge and then a fence. I'm like, bro, this is really an island. I'm like, because I really didn't know anything about it.
Were you the only white guy on the bus?
Yeah. Yeah, only white guy on the bus. And
the public defender knew something.
Yeah, so that I get there and they're walking me to maximum security because I'm a fugitive.
Right. So
they're walking me down and I remember the guard, he's like, man, you must be one bad white boy. And I'm like, why is that? And he's like, we don't see you guys around here. I'm like, in my mind, I'm like terrified of them. I'm like, you damn right. Like, you know, and
they only send Italians there.
And so
those are the only white guys they send there.
And so we get there, bro, and like dudes, boom, jump in my, hey man, this is what it is, this is what it is. And like they're trying to put like food under my pillow. I'm like, bro, take this stuff. I know how this works. Yeah. I'm not taking your stuff, bro. Like I don't want any issues. And
so you're in a high security wing in Rikers Island.
Yeah.
Okay. So what is that like? Is it individual cells or is it pods?
Individual cells.
Okay.
Which was good.
Yeah.
It's like one hallway with cells, and then you just have a little common area. It's very small.
Right.
Might have even been better. I don't know. But I mean, obviously your maximum security, you have dudes that are like out of control. So, you know, it's first day at lunch. I grab my food. I go to sit down. You got the Latins there and you got the the blacks right here. And I'm just like, oh man, this is so bad. And luckily I was speaking Spanish to one of the guys and he was like kind of cool with me. And I was like, if you need to go to Colombia, I got the connect. I just got here. Somehow I had my passport. I was showing them all the stamps and stuff. I didn't know how that happened.
That's a good way to make friends. And, I got the plug.
Yeah, I
just
got the plug, bro. And so they were like, they let me, they're like, hey, gringo, come sit with us. So like, I was like, thank God. So like, we're going in and like, you know, it's just like, there'll be like a opposite gang member coming in and get stomped out, bro. Like you'd see the gangs, you'd see the guards coming and they'd be like, what up, blood? What up, blood? To the inmates. So like, they're all connected, bro. And like, I saw a dude get knocked out, lay there in a pool of blood for like 20 minutes, and dude like walked back over like randomly and soccer kicked him in the face, bro. And I was just like, and like the guards are just chilling, like eating their food, reading their newspaper, like, oh, come get this guy. Yeah. And I'm just like, this is bad. I'm like, wow.
That's wild.
And
what were some of the cases? What are some of the people on that wing? What were they facing?
Dude, I have no idea. Like at that point, like I just knew not to ask any questions. Like I didn't want to know anything about these guys. Like I was cool with the guy Fingers. He was the leader of one of their gangs, which I don't even want to mention gang names just because like, but like he was missing a couple fingers, got it cut off. Wow. And you know, he kind of looked out for me. It was cool. But these guys were coming in, Heinisch, you got to go to court. I would have to get out of my cell, do the whole pull your pants down, squat and cough, get back on the bus, drive across to Jamaica, sit in this nasty holding cell, eat these gross peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for 8 hours. And they'd be like, all right, we're going back. And I'm like, what? No judge, no lawyer. Like, they did this 3 days in a row, bro. Like,
and they get you up at 5 a.m.
Yeah, they get you up at 5 a.m. And you come back at like 5. Like, it was like ridiculous. Like, and finally, the one day I was like, no, I'm not going. And they're like, oh, and then like Fingers like, bro, you're going to go. They're coming with tasers if you don't go. And I'm like, all right, I'll go. So I go and I'm just like super mad. And one day I was in the holding cell and I saw the mirror. Like, you know how they have the bent mirrors like that? And I could see the cell next to us. And it was just full of like 5 white boys. And I asked the brother, I was like, hey man, what are all those white boys? He's like, oh, that's protected custody, that Punk City. And I just go off on them, bro. I was like, I was like, why are you going over there? And this dude's like, get him. Like, he's loving it, bro. Like, so like, I was just like, you guys are running and making our race look bad. Like, what are you doing? Obviously, I was just in the mode, you know? Like, I was just like, so we go back. The guy's like, I'm using your phone. I said, nobody's using my phone today. Like, I'm just in a bad mood, bro. He's
what
like,
does that mean, your phone? Your
so
phone
like,
time, right?
Yeah, phone time. So like you trade a bag of chips for phone time or whatever. So he's like, really? Meet me in the back. This is the same dude who's like been giving me issues. Like when I'll be like shadow boxing and he'll walk by and be like, you fight? We fight for real on the streets. And I'm like, okay. Like, cause you know, I've been training, bro. Like I'm like a machine right now. Yeah. And so this dude comes back, bro. I think we're about to get in a fist fight, pulls out this nasty shank, like in my face, bro. And I'm like, whoa, man, whoa. I was like, dude, I don't want no problems. Boo. He kind of like lets his guard down. Boom. Lay him out. Then his brothers start coming running up, bro. So I take my shirt off to grab knives. And I was like, this is so bad in my mind. Like I was like, I'm about to get it from every angle.
So you took your shirt off to grab the knife so you wouldn't have your prints on it? Is that your thinking?
No.
What do you mean? Why were you taking your shirt off?
Because if you try to grab someone's hand with a knife and they jerk it out, you're gonna slice your hand up.
Of course.
So I put my shirt on my hand so I could grab people's knives.
I got you. So they're strapped. They have shanks on them.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And I don't have one. So and I wouldn't want one either. They're nasty. And but then the Latin dudes come up and they're like, no, you mess with him, you mess with us. He got heart. He's with us. And I was like, thank God. So they break it up. They throw me in my cell. Fingers comes back up to me and he's like, hey, man, you got to get out of here, bro. He's like, these guys got a SOS on you and you got to go to protective custody. And I was like, what's the SOS? He's like, stab on sight. And I was like, really? And I was like, all right. So I called the guard over. I was like, guard. I was like, bro, you got to get me out of here. I was like, these guys want to kill me and they're going to do it in the morning. I got to go. He goes, F you, white boy. Slammed the door in my face. Never forget that.
Wow.
Yeah, dude. So I'm up all night praying, making armor, like tearing my room apart, like talking to fingers. He's sliding me over Suboxone. Like I'm like popping that stuff.
Wow.
And like, I've like read The Art of War. I'm like, I'm going to funnel him in the tunnel. I was like, cause like I've seen what they do. They'll just open the door and let the guys come.
Yeah.
Like they'll just open your door and hit in their doors.
Yeah.
And they'll just come.
They'll do that on Rikers too.
Yeah, they'll do that.
They'll straight up.
Oh yeah, they'll
let
like
guys
he'll
in
tell
to kill you.
He obviously they told the guards to keep me there.
Right. Right.
Usually they move you out.
Right.
Like they don't want those issues, but the
No.
guards already knew.
Wow.
So dude, I'm like freaking out, dude.
Did you have a weapon?
No.
Did you think about getting one?
No, I just wanted armor. Like there was nothing. I couldn't make a shank, bro. These guys spent hours. Like
Yeah.
they make them like chips of the wall
Yeah.
and all, like I didn't know how to do that.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I was just like I was gonna like tuck all the sheets in my clothes so I had armor, and then just like have like my hand and I like put my mattress against the wall. So you had to come through this like small area. So I was just like, when they come through, I'm gonna knock them out one by one, and I'm gonna grab knife and I'm gonna knock them out.
Right.
And but like an hour before, bro, God came through, man, and just like Heinisch, and I'm like all like tweaked out, like didn't sleep that much, and they're like, I was like, who are you? And it's like these big two white football player looking dudes, and they're like, U.S. Marshal, and they like look at me like my room's like tore apart. They're like, is this all your stuff? And I'm like, I was like, yeah, and they're like, all right, let's go, and then like they're like, do you have stuff at the front? And I like my passport, all these clothes and stuff. I was like, nope, let's go. I was like, get me out of here, bro. Like, bro, I just wanted out of there.
Yeah.